Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting of April 28th, 2026. Good evening and welcome. I already said that. I was going to repeat myself. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members present and establishing a quorum: Fulcher, Beaumont, Hanford, Gamble, who's online, and Fisher and Blair.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker indicated they would be absent. Unless there are objections, their absence will be considered excused. Hearing no objections, their absence is excused. Thank you, Council. Councilmember Fisher, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item of business is public comments. This is limited opportunity for people to speak to the council during this council meeting. Pursuant to council rules of procedure, oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only and must comply with the standards set forth in the council rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Information on where to send written comments is on tonight's agenda and screen. Clerk, were there any written comments for tonight's meetings? Thank you. Is there anyone signed up for public comments? No, there isn't. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to do a public comment? See, no one else is wishing to speak. The public comments portion of the meeting is now closed. Next item on the business is the consent agenda. Okay. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second.
Councilmember Fisher, did you second that? No. Okay. Thank you. The motion was made by Councilmember Hanford and seconded by Councilmember Fisher to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Thank you. The motion passes by a vote of 6-0. The next item on the agenda is item 6.1, 2025 to 26 budget amendment with Julie Elsom.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and City Administrator. I'm here to present the budget amendment that's, this is the first reading of the budget amendment for 2026. And the objective is to amend the 2025-2026 budget to incorporate previous decisions made by Council. And the first update would be to REIT. And that is really just a housekeeping item. Sorry, next slide. It's really just a housekeeping item, and I made a mistake in a formula when I brought the last ordinance forward, and so increasing the expenditure amount to what was really intended, which is that 4.1 million, and decreasing the fund balance does not change our projects that we're completing. It really is just a housekeeping item. The next item is updating our salary schedule, and next slide, and that includes contract for the Police Officers Guild that was approved by Council December 16th of 2025, and that is that 2.7% increase for 2026. And this was actually included in the budget amendment that went forward in December of 2025. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention to know that that is included and that has been updated. And then the next item is removing the finance manager and adding the deputy finance director. And if you recall, we came to you at the end of February talking about how we wanted to have approval to go out for both a finance manager and a deputy finance director, and we ended up moving forward with the deputy finance director, and he was hired and started April 16th, so just making that change in the salary schedule. And so that is it. And the next step, obviously, we're at, next slide, sorry, the April 28th meeting, coming to you with the first reading of the ordinance, and we'll be back May 12th for the second reading and adoption unless given any direction as to otherwise.
Thank you. Council, is there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, there is a requested action. Is there a motion? We're putting the motion on the screen. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking for the motion. There it is. Well, first of all, well done. Appreciate all of your work and being short-staffed, Director. And so very thankful that getting you some help that you've been wanting and needing for a while. So.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, I move to approve first reading of ordinance number 002-2026, amending the budget for the fiscal biennium 2025 to 2026 to account for beginning fund balances and new or decreased revenues and expenditures for 2026, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Motion has been made by Councilmember Hanford and seconded by Councilmember Beaumont. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Wonderful. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Council. The next item is Councilmember reports. Councilmember Fulcher.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a wonderful Arbor Day, Earth Day celebration on Friday, and you were there, obviously, and council members Fulcher and Walker were there, and Frylands Elementary students came down and planted a tree with the help of the Monroe Garden Club, and that's always a really wonderful celebration each year. It was a lot of fun, and I believe Molly Barnes, our Monroe School Board president, was also there and said a few words, so that was really a wonderful event. I had a chance to go to a Monroe High School baseball game on Monday and watch the son of one of our City of Monroe employees, Dustin Harvey, play, and that was really exciting and a lot of fun to be up there. And Thursday, I'm going up to Marysville-Pilchuck High School at the invitation of Snohomish County Council member Nate Nearing to observe a program. It's called RAP. It is Pathways, Regional Apprenticeships to Pathways, and it's an apprenticeship program that they have at the high school that I think would be really wonderful to explore maybe in Monroe. I know we have some of those going on right now and talks about it, but excited to go up there and do that on Thursday. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I was out of town, otherwise I would have attended the Arbor Day and heard all about the tree planting. And Sunday was the Fisherman's Derby, I think, at Lake Ty. And so on my walk, it was great to observe all the families out there and people just enjoying the park. So it's just, the parks are looking great. It's a great start to the year, to the season. Director, so good job to the team. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Blair.
I'm just going to give a quick update. We just had tonight our P3 meeting, and we went over some of the things that our parks, recreation, public works have implemented over the last 5 years. Like the one highlight I'll talk about is those flashing beacons that are helping with pedestrian safety and traffic calming. And they've just been doing a great job trying to hit all the things that have been identified in the comp plan by residents to try to work on, and they have a great plan going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Same thing, I attended the P3 meeting. Just a shout out to Public Works, do a ton of work, always very professional. And then other than that, no, just busy doing other things other than council, just being active in the community. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Gamble, he is online. Does he have anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Next item is staff reports. Let's see, who's first up? Human Services, Rachel.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Pleased to be reporting on the January and February Human Services Work Report this evening. During this period, Monroe participated in the annual point in time count and also hosted a Human Services Resource Fair at the library. The results highlighted from the point in time count highlighted growing housing instability among older adults, leading staff to coordinate additional outreach with Snohomish County's Senior Housing Stability Program. In February, Council approved over $76,000 in opioid settlement funding for 6 community programs focused on recovery, behavioral health response, case management, peer outreach, and youth prevention. The Human Services Division maintained a 92% resolution rate for incoming requests, with the greatest needs involving housing, service navigation, and resource connection. And there are also updates from our programs, Mobile Mental Health Co-Responder, Community Court Case Management, and Flex Funding. Also new in this packet is I'm including our service provider check-in and coordination email recaps that include broader program information that is being shared throughout our service provider network. Most notably, I think, is in the second section, the second recap email. Talks about a program called LifeSet, and it is a program designed to help young adults develop skills necessary for adulthood and how to make a referral. The only requirement to be part of this program is that they be between 17 and 22, currently experiencing housing instability, mental health concerns, and/or have experienced foster care and juvenile justice, or juvenile justice, and they reside in Snohomish County. The program meets weekly and helps young people meet their goals and have a path to move forward. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Council? Councilmember Fisher.
Did we have a point in time number? I looked through here, I didn't.
The point in time count was 1 day specific, and then there was a service base count held throughout the week. Mm-hmm. We did have 42 surveys completed between Monroe and Snohomish, and I believe between 6 and 8 of those were specific to Snohomish, the city of Snohomish.
Okay, so the other 36-ish.
Right.
And so when you go through that, what were there specific needs that you go through that, or were they people like that you just found on the sidewalks, or curious how that
so
works?
part of the packet is it's from partial data that was taken from the Monroe service-based count survey information. I didn't get a chance to analyze the day of count service responses because the county took those with them to their shredder. But I think most notably from the service-based counts was that 43% of the respondents were over 55, 67% experienced DV. Some of the things that also stood out to me were that one of the people that responded experienced homelessness for the first time at the age of 78 years old. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot more of homelessness and housing instability among our older adults who are commonly on fixed income and have disabilities, and that was what was really reflected and stood out in the survey.
So we were looking at like 36 within Monroe? Is that
Yeah.
kind of where we were at, 36 people? Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. Adams. The next report is from the police. Chief Jolly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeff Jolly representing the Police Department. Contained in your packet are the monthly reports for the Police Department from February and March of 2026, outlining the significant events, department events, community outreach, domestic violence coordinator services, as well as some statistics. As I said, they are included in your packet, and I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions, Council? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the report and good try, Chief.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Chief. The next report is from Public Works, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. In your report tonight, we have a touch on our annual sidewalk grinding program that eliminates trip hazards in local neighborhoods. We choose a neighborhood, go after it, get all those resolved, and then the next year we move on to a different neighborhood so that we spread the love around the city. Also in there, some water pressure reducing valve, pressure sustaining valve work that the crew did to improve the overall delivery of water in the Calhoun, Old Owen, and Rivemont neighborhoods. And then finally, a little bit of a highlight piece on our water quality lab down at the wastewater treatment plant. Just kind of want to call out the entire crew down there, Donovan Shepard, Nico Saveo, Cameron Dansel, Tyler Longscott, Colson Krim, and Teresa Davis, who runs the lab, do an excellent job down there. It also keeps our drinking water tested and safe. So in any case, that concludes my report. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you. Councilmember, I don't know who, Beaumont? Well, Hanford, you have your light on.
Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank you, Director Roberts, for including the What's the Water Quality Lab as part of your report. I remember going in there when I had a tour when I was first elected last term, and it was fascinating to get that tour from Teresa and the group. And I appreciate that you took the time to think, boy, this was, something that they probably would like to know more about. You've got a picture there, and I just found it really interesting, and I appreciate you adding that into the report instead of just thinking that maybe we wouldn't be interested in that. So just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you, Council. Next report is the 2026 Washington State Legislative Report. Mr. McCorkle.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. I realize I am one of the last things before a very, very short meeting, so I will try to keep my report brief. Everything is contained within your packet, but I did want to touch on a couple of things verbally, just so all of Council is aware. I know the Legislative Affairs Committee touched on some of these items, and Public Safety got their own update as well, but just so we're all on the same page, I'm going to go through some items. So the 2026 legislative session began January 12th and concluded on March 12th. This was a 60-day session where over 1,200 bills were introduced and about 268 were signed into law. We were guided, obviously, by the city's 2026 legislative priorities, which were adopted in October of 2025. In terms of budget, although it's not a budget year, the state every year adopts a supplemental budget, or every other year, I should say, to accommodate small changes to reflect actual expenditures occurring in the operating, transportation, and capital budgets. In terms of the operating budget, the 2025-2027 biennial general fund expenditures increased to $79.4 billion, an increase of about $1.5 billion, primarily being driven by increases in appropriations, by increasing caseloads, and namely expanding liability costs and legal obligations. Of that $1.5 billion increase, about $1 billion was set aside just for the state to mitigate their legal and rising liability costs. With that said, revenues are still not projected to keep pace with inflation, even though recent economic forecasts are improving. It's still not enough, and the legislature is expected to enter the 2027 session in another budget deficit scenario, only partially mitigated by that millionaire's tax that we were discussing. In terms of the transportation budget, the biennial transportation budget increased to $16.6 billion, an increase of about $1.2 billion from 2025. It's partially funded by a redirection of $180 million in anticipated local program projects under an assumption that many of those projects are not going to need all of their appropriations by the end of 2026, so they're delaying some of that funding, and this increase in appropriations is largely being driven by a heightened prioritization by the legislature for investing in preservation and maintenance projects on state highways. During the legislative session, one of our key legislative requests was to keep the money that was already set aside for State Route 522, an amount of $33.7 million for preliminary engineering and right-of-way acquisition. The city was successful in maintaining this request, and then in future budget years, we will continue to push for full project funding. In terms of the capital budget, appropriations increased to $8.5 billion, an increase of about $889 million from 2025, and this increase was largely driven by new investments in affordable housing projects across the state. During the session, we did submit a capital budget request to the legislator to help with some improvements for ADA improvements for Whale Street Park. However, this amount was not accepted and included in the final capital budget of the state. In terms of legislation, there is a lot. I'm not going to go through all of it. I did list some in the reports. A couple that will be impacting the city and then we have to keep our eye on in terms of housing. There is House Bill 2266. This was the STEP housing bill that I know council has been discussing rather extensively. Essentially, this restricts the city's ability to regulate STEP housing under certain circumstances, requiring the city to allow transitional and permanent supportive housing in all zones where residential buildings or hotels are allowed, and indoor shelters and indoor emergency housing allowed in any areas where hotels are permitted. The final bill does include some authority for the city to require verification of operating policies and adequate staffing to ensure health and safety of the surrounding area, but cities do have to adopt the changes made by the bill by June 10th, 2028. Another bill for public safety was Senate Bill 6002. This was the Automated License Plate Reader Bill, or flock camera bill, restricting the city to be able to use these automated license plate reader cameras for only gross misdemeanors and felony cases, and also restricting or mandating that any data be deleted within 21 days. We are required to adopt new governing policies and submit those policies to the Attorney General's office by December 1st, 2027, and then thereafter we must complete annual reports and annual internal audits. Additionally, Senate Bill 6346, this was by far the most debated bill of the session and probably of the last few years. This was the establishing a tax on millionaires, imposing a new 9.9% tax on individuals with incomes exceeding $1 million. But more relevant to the city is it provides new sales tax exemptions. The final bill does express an intent to create a fiscal health account that would mitigate revenue loss for local governments, but it doesn't actually allocate any funding towards local governments directly. The tax itself takes effect on January 1st, 2028, and the majority of those sales tax exemptions begin on January 1st, 2029, including exemptions for hygiene products, diapers, over-the-counter medications, and repealing some of the service sales tax authorized by previous legislation. It might go without saying that this bill is expected to be challenged in the courts and also on the ballot box. But with that said, the city will have to prepare for a potential drop in certain sales tax revenues beginning in 2029. The last one I will go over is House Bill 2034. We also discussed this one briefly, and this is the Left One bill that essentially swept the surplus from the Left One account and refunded a new account with the same benefits at 110% funded. This goes into effect June 30th, 2029, and it does direct the Select Committee on Pension Policies to evaluate options for the state to assume responsibilities for local medical expenses. It must submit these findings by December 31st, 2028. With that said, I didn't list out or name all of the bills that did not pass that we were tracking, but a couple of things that we will need to look forward to in the next legislative session include legislation that is going to restrict the city's ability to regulate public space, and also those indigent defense standards and providing state fundings for local public defense with those new caseload standards, both of which I know we have talked about before. In terms of next steps, the Legislative Affairs Committee did meet in March to discuss some of the potential next steps for us to take during this interim period to make sure we are keeping momentum during the non-legislative time. We will be inviting legislators, our own representatives from the 12th District and also the 39th District, to present at various Monroe City Council meetings. That way you can hear updates directly from the legislators themselves and ask them questions. In terms of transportation advocacy, the mayor does intend and has been in contact with the Northwest Director of WashDOT to receive updates on the status of State Route 522 and US 2, and inquire about potential collaborations with WashDOT for federal grant opportunities. We've also been in contact with WashDOT to provide a separate presentation directly to council, so that way you all can also ask questions directly and hear questions or hear updates directly from WashDOT themselves. We are also planning on maintaining contact with those contacts we made in Olympia this session, and we are going to continue our efforts to expand our scope of who we're reaching out to, including 2 other vice chairs that we have yet to meet contact with. Another strategy is we are looking into some interjurisdictional, I should say, coordination efforts, coordinating with neighboring jurisdictions, Sultan, Duval, Carnations, forming a task force, and potentially hosting joint meetings to ensure that all of our legislative efforts behind these key transportation and regional connection efforts are aligned, and we are pushing kind of a united front towards those strategies. Finally, 2027 priorities, we will start looking into those, preparing those over the summer of 2026, and you will likely be seeing them in October of this year. So begin thinking about what we should be advocating for, stay engaged with AWC, and that will conclude my report.
Great, thank you. Council, any questions, comments? All right, well, thank you, Mr. McCorkle. The next item on the agenda is the extended agenda. Ms. Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking forward to our next council meeting on May 12th. We will have a Legislative Affairs Committee meeting, which is tentative to discuss the Americans with Disabilities Act and Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Try and say that 5 times fast. The deadline previously was 2027. That's now been pushed out to 2028, but we are still moving forward with coming into compliance, so we don't have a heavy lift at the end of the timeline. For the regular business meeting, we have consent agenda items, including second reading of ordinance 2020 on the 2025-2026 budget amendment, the resolution 2026-007 substance abuse policy update with Allie Edwards, the resolution 2026-008 CDL policy update, and then the interlocal agency agreement with the City of Sultan for mobile mental health program. Then just the regular reports, and an executive session is tentatively planned to talk about the pricing of property. So for my city administrator's report, a couple of items that have been on the list previously. Just a kudos to those that participated in the community egg hunt. I didn't get a chance to talk about that at the last meeting just due to time. And then a couple of items that are coming up on our America 250 community events calendar. So we do have posters available, and we will start to distribute those out to the community so everybody knows what's going on. We've already done the social media posts. A couple of other items that are not on the slide, but I wanted to mention to City Council. If you haven't already taken a look at the city's Facebook page, Curry View Park was identified as one of the top 9 unique playgrounds to visit near Seattle. And so if you want to take a look at the others, you can visit the Facebook page and see that information there. That's very exciting. It it is Parent Map is the name of the organization that identified Curry View Park. So again, kudos to our Parks Department for their ability to upgrade that park in a way that really made a regional impact. Also, on our Facebook page, we've posted that we are taking sponsorships once again for the Downtown Planter Program. So if you or anybody else in your neighborhood is interested in supporting those planters, the program is running again. You could come in. It's a tax deduction as well. So the City of Monroe donations can be deducted off of your taxes if you're interested in that. The speed zone camera, the council had asked for some community input. That meeting is scheduled now for Monday, May 7th at Park Place Middle School. And again, we'll be doing a social media push on that to get the word out. So interested individuals in the community can come and share their perspective on that. So we have oh, is it Thursday?
Thursday, May 7th.
Excuse me. I don't know why I said Monday. My apologies. Thursday, May 7th. Thank you, Mayor. The other thing I wanted to share with the City Council at the last Finance Committee meeting, we had talked with Finance Committee members about changing our policy for comments on our Facebook page. So Facebook is still our primary communications tool, both for city and for the police department. But what we found in looking at the data is that the majority of individuals that are commenting on our Facebook page are not Facebook page followers. They are non-followers. And so we have a limited staff capacity to monitor and respond to comments effectively. So we are planning a pilot project to run from May 1st through July, which will limit comments to followers only. If people are not following currently and they want to comment, they just need to be a follower for 24 hours. So they can push the follow button and then weigh in and comment. So the goal obviously is to continue to maintain access to information, but being able to improve our comment management. So again, that pilot project will run through July, and we'll be back in front of the Finance and HR Committee, IT Committee, to share the outcome of that program, and then potentially come back to council with more information. So again, that change only applies to Facebook. It doesn't apply to our Instagram or X accounts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Knight? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. You didn't mention the workshop next Tuesday, did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, May 5th.
Okay.
So that May 5th is our special meeting. Is our special council meeting next week, and I believe that begins at 6 p.m.
Cinco de Mayo,
Cinco de Mayo.
May 5th.
Should
Okay.
we have yes, Mexican food for dinner that night?
I think so.
Okay. Virgin margaritas.
Good call, Councilmember Fulcher. Okay, any other comments, questions? So that meeting is on next week at May 5th at 6 p.m. All right, okay. Next up is me. There's 3 proclamations, I believe, in your packet. First one is recognizing May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week. I'm just going to read like a little portion of it. The City of Monroe benefits from the dedicated public service of those who perform the vital functions of municipal clerk, including City Clerk Jody Wyckoff, Public Records Officers Patricia Pendry, Sherry Simonson, Planning Commissioner Secretaries Leanne Barr and Hannah Maynard, and several other staff members who serve as liaisons and clerks to city boards, commissions, and committees. So I really thank them for their service. The second proclamation is recognizing May 3rd through the 9th as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week. Just reading a section of that. Corrections officers and employees with the state of Washington's Monroe Correctional Complex maintain the safety and wellness of incarcerated persons under their care, while also helping incarcerated persons learn new skills and experience to help them succeed when they are released. So I thank them for that service. Last proclamation is National Day of Prayer, which is May 7th. It is my prayer that each of us reflects upon our place in this world, in our relationships with one another, and that we center ourselves on genuine love for one another, and that we actively seek and bring forth true peace in ourselves and one another, and that we turn our hearts away from division and toward unity of spirit. So I just wanted to read a section of that. So, okay. And then lastly, I wanted to give council an update on city administrator position. So over the past several weeks, we've conducted a very comprehensive screening process. We had written supplemental questions, structured interview panels that encompassed input from senior leadership and community partners. I'm grateful for all the time that staff and partners dedicated to the effort. After completing all stages of the process in a comprehensive review, I've determined that none of the candidates were a right fit for Monroe. Monroe is a really special place. The city administrator role requires strong alignment with our values outlined in Imagine Monroe and our leadership needs and our community priorities. And I thank council for their input on all of those. For this reason, I'm choosing not to advance a finalist at this time for an appointment, so I won't be bringing that forward to you. To maintain continuity of city operations, I'm making a provisional appointment as authorized in the city's employee handbook. So I am appointing Ben Wortham, our current Human Resources and IT Director, to serve as interim city administrator effective June 1st, 2026. During his time as interim administrator, Mr. Wortham will continue to perform the duties of HRIT Director, resulting in personnel savings, cost savings, while we continue to look for a permanent city administrator. Ben will work closely with Deborah Knight until her final day on May 31st to ensure a smooth transition, and I really appreciate the partnership and leadership that both Ben and Deborah have exhibited during this time, so I really thank them for that. Next, we're gonna close the current recruitment process, and we will reopen that, re-advertise later in the fall. This will allow staff and myself time to focus on getting through the budget and developing a really sound financially budget for 2027, 2028. I'll keep council informed during this whole process and before we launch the next recruitment cycle. At the May 12th, 2026 council meeting, I'll bring forth a provisional interim appointment agreement, and that will allow Ben the right to return back to his HRIT position if we are to hire and appoint a new city administrator later this year. Any questions, thoughts, comments from council? Councilmember Beaumont.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this sounds like a very prudent decision, and I just appreciate the thought and care that went into this entire interview process and selection process. It sounds like everyone was in agreement that we have a unique city here and unique needs, and we need a unique person. And I appreciate that it's not just a one-size-fits-all. Let's just fit someone in to this open position because someone is leaving. I really appreciate that, and I'd like to thank Director Worthen for stepping up with this, and I just really, really appreciate it. It's very, very important, and it's been treated as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with what Councilmember Beaumont said. I think Director Worthen will do a fantastic job, and I'm glad that we're not just rushing in and trying to fill a void, a massive void, just to get a body in here. So thank you.
Agreed.
Great wisdom.
Yep. Councilmember Fisher.
I feel like I gotta say something now. Totally agree with everything they say. Ben, congratulations, I guess, in a way. I think you'll fill the shoes greatly right now. We all know this is a unique place, and you are definitely unique enough to fill that position, for sure. And then save all of the stuff for Miss Knight when that comes. So yeah, thanks for taking the time with this and really trying to figure out a good fit. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Blair. I saw her hand going up.
Okay, I'm changing the subject. I want to thank you for recognizing the correctional officer and professionals week. The Department of Corrections is one of the public safety agencies. Monroe is one of only 8 cities that has a prison in it. Monroe is the second largest prison and the second oldest prison. So 1908 is the date that we can agree on that it was up and running. Old newspaper articles were talking about how excited they were, the residents of Monroe, to be having a prison come to town because it was going to bring good workers and people to the town. So I would look forward to the city of Monroe and Monroe Correctional Complex continuing to strengthen their relationship. And thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So there is no need for an executive session this evening. So there being no further business and no objections, the meeting will be adjourned. Okay, hearing no objections, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, council.
Thank you.